All right, guys, welcome back to Spitball Cinema, and we are doing part two of our Godfather series. Pretty much
Godfather.
Godfather, kind of mob movies, but we're really kind of focusing on Godfather this time around, and diving right into Godfather Two.
Yep.
All right.
All right. What did you guys think of Godfather 2?
I liked it. I didn't.
Wow.
Well, people
Really?
say Godfather 2 is the best of the three. I still think
Right.
number one's the best.
Well, the thing that's interesting about 2 is that you have this dual stories between father and son, between Vito, how he comes to power, and then it has Michael in the present of what's going on. So you have this back and forth thing going on, which that's what Coppola wanted. He wanted to tell a story about a father and a son in a different era. You know how the father comes along and stuff.
Well, I was just about to say, is it because it shows them making the same decisions no matter what time period it was, or
No, I think he wanted to show the
differences?
origins of how Vito Corleone came to power and how where he came from. But at the same time, he didn't want just a whole movie about Vito Corleone. He wanted to show the continuation of the Corleone family, what they're doing now. You know, because now it's in the 50s. You know, whereas that was back in the 40s and stuff. See how the family has changed. So and then you go back. You just go back and forth. You know, and the earlier part, how Vito comes to power and stuff, I think is very interesting. You know how they were trying to kill him as a young boy. You know, and then when he becomes I mean, you can see kind of not so much that Robert De Niro, who's playing Vito Corleone, not so much that he's mirroring Marlon Brando, but you could see him be that character, that same character. And which here's another fact: it's the first time in film history that you had two different actors playing the same character that both won Oscars for playing the same character. That's
yeah,
never
that's
happened
right.
before. Yeah, two different
Didn't
actors.
realize that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I do like how that story works because it's not a parallel, but they both wind up in the same place.
Right.
And they
Right.
really do they kind of come to the same conclusions. It's like they have their own life lessons, but really the end result is they know how to hold power, and
Right.
and they learn the hard way, and they have to make the tough decisions along the way. And so I mean, that itself is a very compelling story. And so, to me, that's actually what I enjoyed with it. A lot of the side stories and stuff like that. But yeah, like just like you were saying, it's the stories, the generational story,
Mm-hmm.
which is really sharp. But yeah, but for me, I'd already seen that part because I watched the
Right.
the chronological order one. But the thing is, you can still tell because you can tell when those scenes are. You can understand where it was in the film. So yeah, but it's a great storytelling tool, and a little different than the first movie and how they go about it. But still the same characters, the same basic storyline, and that continuation, like you said, of the family. So
Yeah, and you see these characters that you saw in the first movie. You see them younger and how they came, and it's really kind of fascinating how Vito Corleone kind of he like steps up and goes beyond these side characters like Clemenza and Tessio. He becomes this leader. You know, he knows how to mind his own business, but do favors from people. You know, I'm doing a favor for you. For you to just remember that I've done you a favor. You know, and he kind of comes up and he becomes this leader. You know, and he's the one who takes care of the neighborhood mobster and takes him out.
right, the one that was actually manipulating.
I
the
can't think of
people.
the character's name, but yeah,
I can see his face.
yeah,
Yeah, because
And
he was like the extortionist type of
right,
mobster.
right. He
You know.
he was extorting other Italians, which Vito didn't like. He didn't
Right.
like that. You know? And I think one of the greatest scenes is when Vito was stalking him, when he's going to go kill him.
Yeah.
And he's on on the roof and he's following that guy, and he's like a cat almost. He's stalking this guy on the ground. I mean, following him through the city. And I think I think that is the best scene for me in the movie when Vito's stalking that character because he's going to take over. He's kind of like I don't know if it's quite like Michael did, but kind of that same focus, that same this is what I got to do.
Yeah, and in a weird way, because it was something that he felt like he was compelled to do. Like it's like this guy's got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go.
He's got to go. And then when that vacuum was there, people just naturally turned to him.
Exactly.
So I don't even know if he was looking to take over. It didn't almost feel like it because he had to like borrow the gun or like get a gun from somebody.
Well, he had to because this guy was going to be this guy wanted to cut from him, and this guy was going to eventually try to kill Vito because they weren't going to give him the money. They told him they would, but that guy wanted his cut of their new business because they started him, Clemenza, and Tessio started doing these side businesses and stuff, and you're supposed to give the local chieftain his cut, and they're like, nah, we're not doing that. So they had to take him out,
man.
And then the fear of him taking this guy took him out, even though Vito is not really extorting other people now, but they have this respect for him now because they know he took him out. He's now Vito's in charge. If you have any problems, you come to Don Corleone. A young Don Corleone.
How many years did the part 2 come out after the first one?
I think the first one came in 72. I think this one came out in 74.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So a couple of years.
That's a pretty quick turnaround.
And his same musical score. Coppola's father did the same thing. The music. I mean, and it won all kinds of awards again. It won Best Picture again. I mean, it's pretty incredible that a sequel was just respected as much as the first one. I mean, there's people that love Godfather 2 just as much as Godfather 1.
So how long did it take him to make Godfather 3?
Oh, that was made in the 1990.
Yeah.
It came out in 1990. So you're talking a few years,
Man.
So, that's that's people's least favorite Godfather is Godfather 3. They said too political. And then you didn't have Robert Duvall back. Robert Duvall held out because of money. They weren't.
I can't believe they wouldn't pay him. I mean,
Yeah, you would think that would just be
he was an important character. Everyone liked him, and everyone knows Robert Duvall, all the movies and nominations he's had throughout his career after the Godfather movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't understand why they wouldn't do that, but
yeah, he said, the third, Duvall talks about it, he said the third one wasn't as good. He said it wasn't as good. He said the script wasn't as good, and they wouldn't pay him as much as like Al Pacino and stuff, and he said they all were getting this paycheck, and he said holding out for money. He said obviously they're doing it for money and not just the quality this time, and so he wanted his fair share, and they wouldn't do it, so he said,
well, that's fair.
I'm out.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, would have been a whole different movie if he'd have been in it though. I think it would have been
better.
Because George Hamilton took his place, which he did okay, but I think they may have structured that script a little differently.
Well, that's why I got to bring up, I haven't seen it yet. They came out with a version called the Godfather 3 Coda scene or something like that. And apparently it's got...
It's the death of Michael Corleone.
Yeah, and basically they says that the structure is different. They added scenes that weren't in the original, and they took out scenes that were in the original. Basically, Coppola said that this is the way I wanted it to be put out.
But it's not Duvall in it.
No. But when it came out, I don't think it got that any good reviews on it. I might be wrong, but
Yeah.
I tell you what,
Well, because Andy Garcia at that time was a pretty good name. He was a pretty big name.
he
at
was
that
in
point.
Touchables,
Yeah. Which is fun because De Niro and
Internal
Garcia,
Affairs.
so,
yeah.
but and he did Internal Affairs, and so I don't know. I always liked him. I thought he was a very good actor. He had a very distinct look, which I think kind of helped carry, a lot of that.
That's true, but one thing I always liked about him, like in every movie back then, I don't know if he still does it. He always had some line where he screamed it out.
Where he's screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he always has that little grin. Andy Garcia, he's got this smirk,
Yeah.
which is just
Yeah.
it's like if I was a woman, I'd be like just throwing myself. I'd be like, that guy's gorgeous, And everyone talks about all your like Chris Hemsworth and people like that. But Andy Garcia back in the day, man, that was one good looking cat.
He was suave, man.
And he was smooth, and he just had a delivery that I think to me was just really really good.
Oh yeah.
So to me, I thought it was great in the movie, but the story itself, I think, struggled. In a lot
Well, he
of
mimicked James Caan pretty good, playing his bastard son.
Yeah.
He had that hot temper, not listening, and so he. But the thing I did like about Godfather 3 is that it's Michael kind of trying to find redemption.
Yeah.
He's had it with being a mobster. He's trying to go legit, and just like the famous line in there, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. So I mean, I kind of liked him trying to find. It's almost like he's trying to find redemption for his soul, but he can't quite do it because of all these other obstacles. He's wanting to go kind of back, almost like he was when he was younger, and he wants out of this stuff. He just wants to kind of relax, but every time he tries to, it just doesn't work. He's got too much baggage.
Yeah.
And there's that scene. There's the
confession.
That confession scene when he's confessing to the priest.
That was a good scene.
And he
starts
talking about his brother Fredo, who he had killed in Godfather 2, and he starts crying and just emotionally breaks down. Al Pacino does a great job of just emotionally, like he's finally lifting this weight off of his shoulder by able to tell somebody, that he killed his, like he said, I killed my mother's son, I killed my father's son.
Yeah.
And that's when he breaks down, when he says his father's son, and he breaks down in this emotion.
Remember that part also earlier in the movie, what you just said, where he goes, once they pull me, or what was it?
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back
in.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts having that heart attack.
No, he has
and then
a stroke. He has a diabetic stroke.
Yeah, and he screams Fredo.
Yeah, he starts screaming Fredo.
Like, oh man,
Fredo.
So the movie's got some good, memorable scenes, obviously, but it's just. Did you guys go see that in the theater?
I was over in Germany when that came out.
Did you go see it over there?
No.
Oh no.
No, it hadn't reached Germany, but I'll never forget this. We had a guy that was from New York. He was on leave, and he went and saw it, and he told us about it when he came over there.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the first weekend that came out, there was like a whole bunch of shootings in the theater during that movie.
Really?
Because I didn't get to go see it.
I thought that was only a modern day problem.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, so you can look it up still on Google, but just because I remember I saw it the weekend after it opened up, and you're kind of scared of like, oh my God, am I gonna shoot?
I kind of feel like we kind of jumped to Godfather 3 a little too quick.
Okay, we'll go back.
Because like we've left out a lot of stuff in Godfather.
That's why we called ourselves Spitball Cinema.
I know, but like in Godfather Part 2, you had that whole scene with Michael, and Fredo actually being he betrays Michael, thinking he's helping the family, but he doesn't, and he betrays Michael, and Michael figures it out, and he gives him that kiss of death, he gives him that kiss when they're in Cuba, and he's like, I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart. You know, and
But do you think Fredo knew what he was talking about?
I think Fredo knew he was like he says. He said, "I was trying to make a deal. You know, these guys offered this to me," and Michael's like, "And you bought that? You actually thought they were going to do that? You didn't realize they were using you? You know?" He's telling, you know, but remember in the first Godfather, he tells Fredo when they're in Las Vegas, when he's like with Mo Green, he's like, "Oh, Mo didn't mean anything by that," and Michael told him, he said, "Fredo, don't ever take sides with anyone outside of the family again, ever." And he told him that then. And what happens? Fredo does it again in the second one. And, you know, there's that scene when Connie comes and she's begging Michael, "Can't you forgive Fredo? You know, he's so weak without you, you know." And so he goes in, it's after the mother's funeral. And he goes in there and he embraces Fredo and he just looks up at Al. And you know he's telling him, "You're going to kill that son of a bitch." so because that's the one thing that Mario Puzo and Coppola argued about. He said he didn't think that the brother would kill his own brother. And Coppola's like, "No, this is going to work. This is going to be very dramatic. It's going to be good. We have to have Michael order the killing of his son." He said, "Okay, but you can only do it after the mother dies, because if you do it before the mother dies, the audience will hate Michael because he broke his mother's heart. So you have to wait." And so, as soon as you see the mother in the casket, you know Fredo's gone.
Fredo's time's up.
Fredo's time's up. You know, because Michael has become a cold. You know, he doesn't, you know, go off the beaten path. And he told him that a long time ago. You know, after watching these, you're like, man, he told him. But Fredo was very weak. You know, Michael should have known that. You know, but he couldn't forgive him for it. And look what he did when he kills Fredo. What does that do? It makes everybody fear him even more, because a man that would kill his own brother is someone to fear, because he won't hesitate to kill your ass, you know. So I mean that whole second part of Godfather Part 2, I thought was it was. I still like the Vito, the young one with Robert De Niro. I thought it was a little bit more interesting, but you had some interesting parts in the second one when they go over to Cuba and all that stuff, you know. So
Yeah, so it really does kind
and then
of.
Hyman Roth, you know, played by the great what's the acting teacher's, what is his name? I'm drawing a blank right now. Lee Strasberg. Lee Strasberg.
Yeah.
He was the big
was in it.
acting coach, big acting guru at the time, and for Al Pacino to do scenes with him, because I think Lee Strasberg had taught
Yeah,
Al
he's the
Pacino.
teacher of his.
So now he's doing these scenes with his teacher. It had to be really great to do, you know. Just about as great as doing scenes with Marlon Brando, he's doing scenes with Lee Strasberg, his teacher. You know, it had to be
That's
a little bit nerve wracking, you know, at first, you know.
Definitely.
Oh, it's got to be, but it's
Yeah.
also got to be just cool experience.
Yeah, because
Just to be
I'm
there.
sure they got together and it's like a dance, you know, with the dialogue. They're going back and forth. He's doing his thing, he's doing his thing, and they get in this rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. You know, it's great. I love
That
it.
is cool.
I-
By the way, I don't know if you guys know about this. This is not an paid endorsement, but Al Pacino just put out a memoir book last week.
He did?
It just came out because he's been making the rounds to a lot of the talk shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's called Oh Sonny or something like that. But
Oh, Sonny.
yeah, we got to get a copy of that.
Well, and another thing, Pacino and the guy that played Fredo,
They were good friends, right?
very good friends.
'Cause,
John,
Cassavetes, right?
not Cassavetes,
Or,
Caviezel.
That's
or
it.
something like it. John, or because I can't think of it.
Caviezel. That's
It's not Caviezel. That's the guy
that's
from
the
Jesus.
guy.
Yeah, it's I can't think. It's starts with a C.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce
The
it.
C guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Well, they were. Wait, was that movie before or after The Godfathers? Attica.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon.
I think that was.
Is it between The Godfathers?
I think it might have been. I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit after. I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, If anybody knows, comment down below.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's got a new memoir, and
He said he learned more acting tips from him than anybody.
yeah,
He said, and that guy was dating at the time Meryl Streep,
that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
who were in The Deer Hunter together.
They were in the Deer Hunter together.
Robert De Niro. And it's all tied. It goes in circles with these
It's
guys.
like seven
You know?
things of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, yeah. Like Christopher Walken. It goes in circles. You know. There's Meryl. Then there's Robert. You know. So I mean,
Let's say hi to Natalie.
oh shoot, a cheap shot, Dave. Cheap shot.
Ba-dum-bumps.
Oh man.
Is it too soon?
Yeah, I think a little too soon.
Fucking.
But I think we
Sorry for the language.
kind of wrapped up the Godfathers, don't you think?
Yeah,
The
man.
2 and 3. I mean,
I'd say it's pretty well done.
The only thing I didn't like in there's one thing I didn't like in 3 though, the way they portrayed Connie, because Connie, all of a sudden now Connie's like involved in the family business. You know, she's getting involved in the family
Didn't
business.
she marry some guy that was in the business, in the family business?
Well, no, I mean she's butting into Michael's affairs and stuff, and that was never. And there's this one scene where Michael makes the decision, and she looks at him and she goes, "Michael, now they will fear you." Well, no shit, they've been fearing him for the last 40 years. What are you talking about? Now they will fear me.
So you hate that over?
And then he goes. Then
what's her name's
Then he goes.
performance?
Maybe they should fear you. You know, he does that.
That was a good line though.
Yeah, it is, but it didn't make sense for her character arc that she would also all of a sudden be involved in the family business. That would never happen in a million years.
Ooh, Connie.
You know, and now she's making decisions, and now they will fear you. That's the dumbest.
You're
thing.
not even talking about the worst part of that movie.
I thought that. Or you're talking about Sophia Coppola?
Yeah.
You know, she was young. You know, she under a lot of pressure. You know, to do this with her dad and stuff.
Wasn't Winona Ryder supposed to play that part?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was supposed to play that part. And I forget, she had an accident or something on a horse or some kind of thing where she got hurt or something, and she had to back out of it. But yeah, that would have made the movie a little more interesting.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess that Bridget Fonda's character was supposed to have a way bigger role too.
Yeah, she just had a little small dinky.
So I wonder if they put more of her in that Coda
I don't know.
thing. So
When did this Coda thing come out?
last year when they did the 4K restorations and put them out, that's when they put the Coda.
Oh, really? So
4K
he
out
just
and-
went back and got
It was.
all
It's
the
only
old
been
footage and stuff that
yeah,
was still laying around?
Yeah,
and
the
just-
set came out last fall, I believe, or last
Oh,
Christmas.
wow.
And
Okay.
then I know I got you the screenplay
Yeah.
to the Godfather. And I bought it too. I bought one on not too long ago.
awesome.
The screenplay.
Yeah.
And but
Because when you're reading it, it's all in your head.
right.
I mean, it's just replaying.
There's another part. I know I keep going back to Godfather 3, but see, I think I maybe liked it a little bit more than a lot of people because there's a scene when Michael's back over in Italy with Kay and his family and stuff, and his son has become an opera singer, and he's singing, "Hey Dad, this song's for you."
Forgot about that song.
And he does the Godfather theme, and,
Yeah.
and he's singing it. And Al Pacino, they pan over to Al Pacino, and he kind of leans down, and as his son's singing it, he takes his sunglasses off, and he looks down with this like despair look, and all of a sudden it cuts to Apollonia and him dancing at their wedding, and you know he's reminiscing about this first love that he lost, because that's what I'm saying. That's the thing that devastated and changed him more than anything. And then he had to go back to Kay. You know, he's probably like, "Son of a
Stop it.
bitch,
That girl gave him syphilis.
I just had this hot Italian girl, and now I got to go back to this broad in New York." You know, but that look on the look on Pacino's face when he's remembering, and then we've got to talk about this when his daughter gets killed at the end.
Yeah.
Pacino does this.
Well.
He does this thing, and he stole this from Rod Steiger, because Rod Steiger.
I thought it was stole it from Laurence Olivier and Dracula.
No. He stole this from. There was I can't remember the name. And Rod Steiger did the same thing where he had such a tragedy, and he tries to scream and do this well, and nothing comes out. He's just got this shock of horror on his face. And then when he finally does yell, he does this, ah! I mean, because it's coming down within, and at first it's just silence. He can't get it out.
Well, it's like his voice cracks or something.
Yeah, like his voice, like somebody has sucked all the oxygen, and when it finally comes back, it's a great acting feat. Do you remember the scene I'm talking about?
Oh
Shane?
yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. And then you look over and Pacino, he looks like he's going out of his mind. Like he has just lost his effing mind. Because his love of his life, his daughter, has just got killed for him being in the family business. He's cursed still. You know, it is. So I think there's a lot to think about in The Godfather 3. That it's just this redemption. The whole thing is trying to redeem Michael Corleone, and it just won't happen because he sold his soul years ago, you know, and he's got to, for the sins of the father, his daughter is taken out. You know, I mean, it's really it's a.
If I was that son, I'd be.
Now you made me want to go back and rewatch it all. I probably haven't watched those for good 15 years, probably, since I've seen them.
I haven't seen them since like last week. So I think that's going to do it for the Godfather movies, don't you guys?
Yeah.
I think that was a great discussion. We jumped back and forth a little bit on the second and third one, but I think it's
well, they're all intertwined. So I mean, the story is the story, and
right.
It's one whole family. So it's easy to kind of bounce back and forth because we're not doing a review.
Right, we're not really doing
narrative.
Review. I love them. I think they're great. I mean, I think they're great movies. They're one of my favorites. That they're long, but I can sit through long movies, and I just get something out of it every time I just watch these great actors. You know, Marlon Brando, Duvall, Jimmy Caan, you know, and even some of the supporting actors. You know, I mean, they're just spot on. You know, and we forgot about what's the guy's name that played Joey Zaza.
Zaza.
You know, he's in Criminal Minds.
Montaigne.
Yeah, Joe Montaigne. I mean, he was great as Joey.
He was
Joey
really good in that movie.
And he was a younger guy. And you know, I'm going to tell this real quick. There was a scene in Godfather 3 where they're at the church, the baptism, and or he's in there. They're doing a in between takes, and Coppola says, "You see that church over there? You see the altar?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Sophia, she was the baby in the first Godfather at Connie's son's baptism. She was the She was the baby."
So that's the first time everyone knew about that.
So and Montaigne said he just like the hairs on the back of his neck, like whoa, you know, it's like this deja vu here all these years later. You know, here's Sophia Coppola in the third one, and she was a little baby in the first one. You know,
wow.
And he said it was just great. You know.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Those are
next time around, I'll tell you what really is my absolute favorite mob film, and what I think is some of the best acting. Oh, yeah, I know you're going to guess what it is.
Well, let's not spoil it.
Yeah,
let's wait till the next one.
So, all
right. Thank you everyone for this episode of Spitball Summon.
Yeah.
I'm Scott.
Jane.
And Dave. Oh, my Dave.
Say goodnight.
Jesus Christ.
Say goodnight.
He's got to do something like that.
You know, he didn't do it in the first two. You know,
we didn't let him start.
No,
that's why.
no.
We gotta.
So say goodnight, Gracie.
You guys are pieces of shit.